evening, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Talk It Out podcast. I'm your host, Alec, a.k.a. Trey Busy. It is August 22nd on Thursday. Beautiful Thursday. We're 2 weeks out from my Bears playing. No, I'm kidding, guys. I ain't going to talk about football. This is a very good week so far. I'm really excited to talk to you guys tonight. I mean, I've had opportunity on Monday to go to the I Can Dream Center and talk to 30 students about, just talk to them a little bit about their dreams and their goals and their passions, and let them know about who I am and why I do what I do and what my plans are. And just, it was really good to see how touched they were and interact with those young people about, just why I do what I do. Like, it was really, really inspired. They were giving me hugs and handshakes and took pictures, and it was just great. It was great to be able to talk to them. So I really was touched by that. I want to say good. Well, what's going on in the chat room? Got some activity in the chat room. Good evening, everybody. Hello. How's everybody doing? Good, I hope. I want to thank Antoinette Ward for coming on last week. She was a great guest. She was very transparent about her former marriage. It's kind of, I was going back and forth where it was a little weird for me to know somebody who's from the age 19 to 35 be married. That's from 19. I couldn't even imagine myself being married at 19. Big ups to her for that, because I can't do that. Before I go too much further, I want to welcome on my special guest, Celicia Shand.
Hi, Alec. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking time out of your very busy schedule to come have a conversation with me. I want you to go ahead. Before I start drilling you with questions like I like to do with my guests, I'm going to ask you to tell people a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, let's see. Where can I start? So I'm a certified professional life coach and an energy leadership master practitioner, a workshop facilitator, speaker, and writer. So I really love talking about spirituality, going deep, mental awareness, breaking through stigmas, anything that's deep. I like to talk about it. I hate to be on the surface, so I guess that's why I'm here, right?
Sounds like my kind of person. I don't like people that like to be on the surface. I like going in deep. I like having raw and rugged conversation. That's why this podcast is unedited. It's sometimes lines get crossed, but then again, what are lines when you are passionate about the conversation, right?
That's true.
What are lines? So when I asked Celicia what she does, and she started like naming off, listing everything she does, I was thinking to myself, "Holy cow! How do you have the time of day?" And by the way, Celicia is also in the time she does all this, she's also currently pregnant. I'm sure that the time is coming very soon for her to go into labor.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking at?
September 27th.
Okay.
So a little like a month from now. I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for that right now.
Yeah, I mean, she's she was telling me about before we got live. She was saying how it was cute in the beginning because she was able to do yoga still. So.
I was doing poses on my head top and handstands and all of that, and then now I'm like, I can't even get up. It takes like 3 steps to get up. So, taking a toll now.
So one thing I want to ask you, Celicia, energy leadership master practitioner. What the hell does that mean?
Okay, that's a great question. So it means I understand how energy shows up in your body through your actions and your reaction to stressors. So when something happens, every single reaction that you put out, it holds an amount of stress level. And depending on how you respond to that stressor, it's going to tell me how much stress you're holding in your body and how badly you're breaking down your body. So for instance, you lose your job. Someone might go into a reaction where they feel hopeless and they feel like they have no choice. They feel like they've lost. They're worried. And that action would indicate to me that this person is holding a tremendous amount of stress in their body, and their bodies is breaking down. In opposed to where someone might look at it where they're like, okay, well, this is an opportunity for me to take a break and travel and do this. Their reaction to that stressor that occurred in their life will hold a different amount of stress in their bodies. And so I basically, people say, oh, what's stress? I'm stressed out. How do you know that you're stressed? A lot of times people don't even know how they're stressed. They don't even know what stress is, but they hear it so much that they use it all the time. But it's like, how do you even identify which stress? And then when you do identify with it, how can I measure it? So the energy leadership master practitioner, it puts your stress into quantifiable data. So you can actually measure it. You can link it to a number. And with that number, you can understand, okay, do I need to stay in this place because I'm burning, my battery is going down fast as hell? Or can I shift myself to another place to where my battery is actually recharging?
So that's pretty amazing. I see EJ4312 has a question for you before I even get going. She says, do you have to worry or deal with people's energies transferring to you in sessions?
So I practice non-attachment. So when I'm coaching, I'm not coaching from a standpoint where I'm in your situation. I'm an observer of your situation, and I allow whatever you got going on to flow through me. I don't hold on to it. I don't take anything personal. So it's detached, but at the same time it allows me to be in the seat that I'm paid for, which is your coach. So no, I don't take on other people's energy. That was a practice of mine. Rarely will I get emotional on a call. Like that's just not what it is for me. So no.
I don't know, Celicia, because if you would have talked to me on
Mhm.
August 2nd after I lost my job, you probably would have took on my
Yeah.
energy because I'm a pretty passionate guy when I'm expressing myself.
And that's okay though. But that just because so a lot of times we want to take on other people's energy because we want to fix it or we want to make them feel better. And that's great, especially if it's people that you care about. Who wants to see someone suffering? But then you got to understand the difference between empathy, like having empathy, and I believe it's sympathy. I can't remember which one it is, but empathy is being there for you, showing up for you, allowing you to feel what you're feeling, but not taking it personally. And a lot of times we take things personally, and then what happens is it takes away the attention, or yeah, it takes away the attention from who the person is that's actually presenting the problem. So if I jump into your bag, is what I would call it. If I jump into your bag, how am I a help to you? And it's not even about me now. Now I'm making it about me. So no, I would allow you to let those emotions pass through, and then try to help you build from that.
Okay, because I pretty much I experienced both spectrums that you said,
Mhm.
for your example, which is kind of funny that you said that. I was like, oh, I kind of feel like I'm getting attacked right now, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It's it's okay.
Yeah.
As I told the kids on Monday when I was talking to them, I was like, if that never happened, if I never lost my job, I wouldn't be here to be able to have this conversation with you guys today, which is true. I wouldn't have been. I'd have been at work, you know.
Yeah.
So I look at
And honestly, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. You go ahead. You're the guest.
Well, I was just gonna say, I look at it as a lot of times when we resist what's happening in life, that's when we cause more stress to happen. I try to really practice allowing, like this is happening, and I can't change that. So what am I here to gain from it? Because I look at it as everything always works out for me. That's just my mantra. So even if it could be perceived as the worst case scenario, right? I keep in my mind everything's always working out for me. So how can I find a lesson in this? And I feel like a lot of our stress and our trauma and our depression and anxiety comes from when we're resisting what's happening in life because we want it to happen another way and it's showing up as something else.
So instead of accepting what's going on right now, because obviously if it already happened, there's nothing you can do to change it, right?
Uh-huh.
So instead of accepting what's going on and working towards a solution towards it, people, get freaked out about it, like you said, like they
Right.
start, panicking and the stress levels. Because I just had somebody say that they want 6 months without stress and without worrying. They want to have 6 months without stress and without worrying. And I'm like, well,
Mhm.
Stress is, again, I mean, I talked to my mom about it. Stress is a normal chemical in the human brain. It's necessary for
Yeah.
you in certain situations. You can't just not have stress. Now you can control the levels of stress that you have, but you can't just say, I don't want to ever have stress. I don't want to have worry. These are normal human behaviors. This is normal chemical reaction in your brain. You can't get rid of stress. I'm sorry. No matter what people say, you have to have stress in your life. It's necessary.
Well, stress is needed. Like if we're in flight or fight, right? You see a baby about to get hit by a car, but you can run and grab him and snatch him out the way in time. You need that reaction to stress. That's that flight or fight. When you need to defend yourself. But the thing is, we cannot live there. And so you have to become a little bit more conscious and aware. So with the energy leadership master practitioner stuff that I talk about, it's based off of two types of energies that we hold inside our bodies. There's the catabolic energy, and then there's the anabolic energy. So catabolic energy is the energy that breaks down our body. Anabolic energy is the energy that builds up our body. So every single thing that we do carries either catabolic or anabolic energy. So stress is needed in times where we need to protect ourselves. But like animals, when they go into their reaction to stress, they do what they need to do, and then they shake. They literally shake it off, and they don't ever think about what just happened, the trauma or whatever. Humans, we think about it and we carry it. Well, when ultimately that emotion only lasts in our bodies, I believe, for 17 seconds. So after that, we're literally torturing ourselves.
I didn't know the time frame for that was 17 seconds. That's something new to me. I'm gonna have to go ahead and put that in my notes to reflect upon it later.
Yeah,
just that's a good example. Even with like you said, to see a baby in the traffic. I mean, certain situations like for me personally, like when I was working doing construction, I mean that job is dangerous as hell. That's why you gotta go through so much training. You gotta wear hard hats and stuff like that. Certain things could go wrong at any instant, and there's nothing you could do about it. But that's why you gotta keep that level headed. Sometimes it can be stressful. I had a piece of siding fall off a 8-story building and hit my hand and give me a small fracture in my right hand. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
see, I mean, but that at the same time, you're working in an environment that can build up those emotions for you. So it's like one of those things where it's like, is this conducive towards my health? Am I someone that can work here and not have the worry of, is today going to be my last day? Or am I somebody who can work here and just be like, well, every day is a new day, and if it happens, it happens, and not have the same energy held inside their body about the same job. So if your mentality in that job was like, dang, every day could be my last, then that might not be the job for you. If you're working in a stressful, and that goes for any job, if you're working in a stressful environment, that job is not going to be the job for you, because that job can kill you before anything else. And a lot of times I realize that when stress is showing up in our lives, obstacles are showing up. It's showing up to teach us about what we actually want. And some people, they look at what's actually being presented that they don't want, and they put their focus on that, when that is only going to create more of that. So whenever something is happening, ultimately we're supposed to switch to, okay, what is this teaching me about what I actually do want? So if you're on that job, something fell on you, fractured your hand, and you're like, nah, this is not me, then now I can't work in construction because I don't want to have to go to work and worry if I'm going to come home with my limbs. And opposed to, man, this thing fell on my hand, broke my hand, and you continuously talk about it. Like that incident happened to teach you something. And a lot of times we fail to see the lesson, and we just stay stuck in our place. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's actually the first time I talked about it publicly. I never really expounded upon that, but I got a question for you. Well, someone in the chat room, EJ4212, says, can you expound on being present or being positive versus being nonchalant?
Can I expand on being present versus being positive?
Okay, so when you're having these conversations with these people, when you're doing the whole energy leadership master practitioner thing, that's a lot. That's a mouthful. When you're doing that,
a certified life coach. So the energy leadership stuff is when I'm teaching workshops on stress management.
So,
but I'm a life coach.
When
These are just all different. Basically, life coach. I'm a certified professional life coach. I focus on energy and spirituality, but energy because people get it confused when you say spirituality and all of that. But everything else that I do stems from me being a coach. My life is me being a coach is my lifestyle. So everything that aligns with that, you know how you were saying, how do you find time? It's me. So it's not even about making time. I just realized that as you go older, to stay in alignment, and what I mean by alignment is to stay in the flow of life and not in the resistance of life, which will keep your stress level down, is by doing things that represent you. Like everything should represent you that you do. You should not be forced to do anything that does not reflect who you are, because now you're not being true to yourself. So, as an energy leadership master practitioner, that's another thing that I picked up under my belt in coaching school, but it's also who I am. But I'm a coach. So if you want to say that, you can just say coach,
okay,
life
okay,
coach.
coach. No, I'm kidding. So, I think what she was asking in the chat room was, how do you decipher, like, from when you were having a conversation with somebody, like, say you're listening to someone tell you about their stress, like how to be nonchalant during that, like how do you, because most of the time when people that you care about are telling you something,
Yeah.
you're gonna naturally get emotionally involved a little bit, right? So I
No.
think that's what the question is about, like how do you refrain from becoming too involved with that type of thing.
Uh-huh. Okay, so it said something about like being positive, or can you read the question again?
Okay. They said
I just want to make sure that I'm answering her like
She said, can
correctly.
you expound on being present or being positive versus being nonchalant?
Okay. So nonchalant, I wouldn't say it's nonchalant because you're allowing people to be wherever they are. So if my client is being hurt, I'm going to be present and I'm going to be present with her, but being present doesn't always mean taking on the responsibility of their emotions, if that makes any sense. So if I'm having a client and she had a flashback to something in her past and she's explaining that to me and she's getting emotional about it, I'm going to be present with her in that emotion. But it's that doesn't mean that I have to pick that emotion up and cry with her and try to be positive. I don't even have to be positive. I just have to be present. And so with the energy leadership stuff now, in the event that I want to shift, my job is to help you understand how you can shift your energy. Then my questions that I ask as a coach is I formulate my questions to help you shift your energy to the next one. So that's why a lot of trained coaches, people don't know this, but when we ask our questions, they're very much intentional. They're not just questions that we're asking out the blue just to see what's going on. There's questions that are asked. Well, with my school, I'm trained to ask questions to shift you to the next level. And so when I'm sitting with you, so for example, like the woman that's crying and stuff like that, when I acknowledge and validate that this is where you're at. A lot of times we have not been acknowledged and validated for our own emotions and feelings, and that's why we feel the way that we do, because we judge ourselves and feel like how we feel is wrong, because no one has ever just been like, I can understand how your mom walking out on you can make you feel abandoned. People are always trying to say, like, sometimes people will say, why do you feel like that? I mean, yeah, forget your mom. You're still turning out to do this. And even just saying words like that is kind of invalidating how you feel. So I think it's not nonchalant. I'm present with you and I acknowledge and validate you to make you understand that, you don't have to feel crazy for how you feel. You don't have to hide how you feel. Express how you feel. I'm going to sit right here with you, but I'm not going to pick that up because it's not for me to pick up. That's your story, not mine.
Thank you for explaining that so eloquently, because you broke it down, and I now, I mean, I have a clear understanding as well. what you mean. So
Okay.
Tanisha Naylor is actually in the chat room. Tanisha was a guest
Hey,
she was a guest on the
Tanisha.
show a while back. She did a very excellent
Mhm.
job. I mean, she touched a lot of people's lives. It was a great show. She said
Mhm.
that you're a beast and you're her coach. So she's giving you props in the chat room.
Thanks, Tanisha. Yeah, I loved her. I love listening to her too. I definitely listened to that episode.
I know, right? She was. I mean, she had me pretty much. Those times during our interview where I was just sitting back like, oh, okay, a little stuck. So I just want to say, here she goes. And I have a thing with Tanisha. She calls me Alex for some reason. I have no idea why. She said, "Thank you, Alex." I have no idea why she calls me Alex. Um, so I want to ask you, when you say you run workshops, so
Mhm.
and you're also a writer as well.
Mhm. Thanks to Tanisha, she's my writing
So
coach. We
you
see,
okay? So
we work,
you
we
guys
work back and
got a
forth.
little thing going on. Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. I might have to get in on that. But anyway, as a workshop facilitator and speaker, so tell me a little bit about like some of the workshops that you've ran. Like
Mhm.
and also what you're working on author wise as well. I like to hear this.
Oh, okay. So as far as my workshops, like I said, so for organizations, I've been working with nonprofit organizations. Um, right now, on the south side of Chicago, with the men who suffer from gun violence. Either they done shot a gun and shot someone before, they've been in and out of jail, or they've been shot, and they're just in that. I can't get a job because I have felonies, and so I just sit on the street and continue to be in that cycle of crime. That's not going to lead me anywhere. I teach them exactly what I was talking to you guys about. So stress management, helping them understanding that they can mastering your mind is is exactly what you need in order to be successful in life. And a lot of them, it's different because I do the same workshop. I've done the same workshop with corporate millennials. And, their questions is, I hate, how do I quit my job and start my business? How do I um, deal with the difficult boss? And those are the questions that I get from that. And then when I switch to organizations that's dealing with like gun violence and stuff like that, which is what we need in Chicago, the questions I'm getting is, how do I stay happy when my friends are getting killed every single day? How do I not be in level one energy? Because the energy levels that I teach is about from level 1 to 7. And so how do I? They ask me questions like, how do I get something for my children when I don't have the money? How do I get the shoes for my children when I don't have the money? And the only thing I know how to do is rob, steal, and kill. So it's a different perspective. But bringing this type of workshop to them, it allows them to understand that if they continue in the same level of consciousness, they're going to constantly repeat the same stuff. And I try to teach them that what is what you've been taught about yourself, basically self-love, and what you've been shown about yourself, self-love, has to be reevaluated, and your bars has to rise, because a lot of times we don't realize how important and delicate the first 7 years of our lives are. Parents don't really know about it. And if those years the child was invalidated, their self-love was diminished, they were abandoned, they didn't have any trust, they're going to live their life as those individuals with the same wounds, and it's going to show up for them how it's showing up for them. So I'm a firm believer that everything that shows up for you in your life is a reflection of you, and ultimately you can choose to change that. It's not a curse. So that's why one person can make it out of the ghetto and become a successful millionaire, and one person can be and come from the same ghetto and stay right there. What's the difference? Mindset. And your mindset is how you react to stress, and your mindset is how you view yourself, your boundaries. And if you don't have any self-love, you don't have any boundaries. You haven't cultivated that. And so I do the stress management workshop, and it expands on all of those things for nonprofit organizations. And then I also do it with staff. So people who work in very high stressed environments and jobs, because I come from the corporate world. I was an audit analyst before this. and at an accounting firm. And that job was so stressful to me. And it took for my friend who worked just as hard as I did. We started a PR firm. I don't know if you remember Jasmine. She went to NIU too,
What
but
was her last name?
we started a PR firm. Jasmine Willette.
Yes,
She was
Jasmine
tall.
was one of my man. Like she was one of the homies. Jasmine was definitely one of the homies.
Okay. Yeah, so Jasmine and I started that PR firm. We were both like in corporate on top of our game, young, we were what, 23, 24. And we were on top of our game. We started a PR company and we was working really, really, really hard. And but we were really stressed too at the same time. And then when she got diagnosed with stomach cancer and passed away, that was like my light, like, oh, life is real. And we can't just sit back and expect that one day, because we're young, we're healthy, we have a whole bunch, we have a life, our whole lives ahead of us to live our life how we want to. We have to start right now. And we got to take this stress thing like something serious, because it really is messing up our bodies. And when do we want to take action? When we're actually broken down? No, we want to take action right now. So a lot of people are reactive. This is proactive work. And unfortunately, we don't see the value in things until it's a must, an absolute must. So a lot of my one-on-one clients are in their 60s and above, because the millennials, we think we're so invincible and we think nothing is happening, or we give ourselves time to break down and we think we can heal ourselves again. But when you get to 60 now and you're like, damn, I just, if I don't change my life, I can die. If I don't find a new solution to reduce this stress, I can die. And those are the folks that are looking for life coaches, looking for therapists, looking for people to really help them build themselves up. And so that it's an interesting dynamic, when it comes to like me one-on-one coaching people and then me going into organizations.
Yeah, I could imagine it being a little bit different. Um, I try to keep a strong mind myself because I always have a lot going on. And one thing I like to tell
Mhm.
myself, or when people come to me, was they feeling down about something, I always tell them, I say, you need to do something to strengthen your mind every day. I like to
Mhm.
do some reading. Reading is a great way. There's so many books out there. There's so many options out there
Yeah.
that you could just pick up one, or a lot of people use ebooks and just read and just do something and learn something every day. So you keep your mind strong,
Yep.
keep your mind sharp, physically as well. And it's all connected, man. I mean, I people go to the gym, people start diets. I mean, just I'm in the gym a lot, man. Like that's and I saw an article today that said, um, people, the gym is a big stress reliever. Oh yeah, why do you think I'm there all the time?
Mhm.
why do you think
Yeah.
why do you think I'm there all the time? When I feel levels getting to where I want them to go be, I go let it out, right? You know,
Right. Mhm.
emotional health, man. I mean, make sure you stay connected with people that are close to you, parents, siblings. I mean, even someone that they're dating. Make sure that you guys are communicating with each other with the love language that you both have. Some people have certain things, and some people are touchers, some people are, talkers. They need to be hear affirmation. Where's affirmation? I mean, it's so many things that you can do that every day to make sure you have a strong mind. Make sure you're strong mentally, physically, and emotionally. That's what I do every day. I try to do something every day to make sure I'm
Mhm.
adding on to myself. So that's how I'm able to stay pretty balanced.
Right.
She's like, I'll go 3 to 5 days a week. It's therapeutic. My mom says, whatever
Mhm.
control your mind, control your body and soul, renew your mind and shift your life.
Yep. Your mind is Mastering your mind is success. It's. I'm glad that you brought that up, because they say motivation is like a bath. You got to take it every day. You got to do it every day in order to sustain it. And that's what it is. Like everything that we do is our lifestyle. We have to incorporate it in our lifestyles. And that takes consistency and that takes a lot of discipline. But the whole point of staying balanced is incorporating those positive mind frames, because guess what, you're going up against your subconscious mind, with whatever negative junk that has been picked up throughout your day. Like you can be scrolling on social media and you don't even understand or realize that you're feeding yourself negative information. And that's being stored and it's showing up in your life because your subconscious mind is what delivers our reality. And so you have to combat that with your conscious mind. So how I explain that to people is like imagine you being on the stage and the spotlight is on you on the stage. And there's the rest of the stage is darkened. The spotlight that's on you is your conscious mind. The rest of the stage that's dark is your subconscious mind. And so you have to battle your subconscious mind by reprogramming it and filling it with information that is going to benefit you. And that comes through daily practice. So I'm just like you. I'm a super like information geek. Like I love to learn. I listen to every single thing that I do. Like some people love to listen to music and I do love music and I love to dance. But I love to learn. I think I love to learn a little bit more than that. So anytime I get downtime, I try to fill that space with either meditation or learning something. So a lot of my clients, they benefit from me because they benefit from the knowledge that I have. And they're like, dang, I didn't even know that. Or where did that come from? Or how do you even know these specific things? And it's because my whole lifestyle is dedicated towards learning because that's just food for me. And I also understand that my subconscious mind takes up the vast majority of my reality. And if I want to shift my reality, then I can't miss a beat consciously.
You said a few things today to me I probably gonna store in my mind and have in there. So again, like I said, learning something new every day is very necessary to keep a strong mind. So even just from this conversation, hopefully people that are listening to it are taking things his way as well. My mom says, I love the message and the candid truths, taking control of your lifestyle by making decisions that direct your life. She says, I love this guest. You are the actor,
Oh,
director,
thank
producer,
you.
and star of your own life. Make the best decisions to be the best version of yourself. Yeah, I didn't give you the speech about my mom being in listening, so I was gonna tell you don't mess up, but it was too late. We already got going. But
Well, I listened to your mom. She inspired me so much. I pulled over and I just sat there and listened to. It was a long one, but I sat there and I listened to it. And so she inspired me when I listened to your podcast. So thank you so much. I didn't get to say that to you while being a listener, but I get to say it right now.
let me tell you something about my mom. Okay, if I don't stop her, we could have did a podcast for 4 hours. I promise you. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, we probably could have though. Maybe about 2.5, maybe. That's where I get my gift of gab from. I mean, we could just go. Just give you just nonstop, just talks of information for hours. But I wouldn't do that to you guys.
Love that.
I wouldn't do that to you guys because I know a lot of people have a short attention span. I try to keep the episodes between 40 minutes to an hour because I know a lot of people watch TV
Hmm.
shows, and it's like okay, it's kind of like a TV show, but it's like it's not. It's better. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Um,
It is.
Celicia, I do want to take. I mean, I really want to thank you, man. Like, you have a lot going on. You do a lot, and
Hmm.
even I don't want to give nothing away about before we went live, but you sounded a little tired before we got on,
I did.
just a little bit. From I guess it may.
What I'm carrying,
I know, I know, I know.
extra weight.
Look, that's what I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I really do appreciate you having a conversation with me because um, you were very. I mean, even when I reached out to you, I asked you to come on. You seemed like you were fired up about it. Like you
Hmm.
seem like if we could have, I would have fired up the machine that night. We could have did the show. So I
Absolutely.
do appreciate you coming on. So now I'm just going through, um, some of the things I asked you. We were talking about. Obviously, you said you did the workshops, but I wanted to get into this author thing you wanted to get into, right? We never told me a
Hmm.
little bit about that. What you got cooking up over there?
I'm writing a book. I've actually written the book, and I'm in a place where I got to step away before I reread it again because I spoke to some authors and they said that's what you do, you step away. So I wrote a book, and it's called Overcoming the. At the end of the day, it's me. overcoming addiction to toxic relationships. So I haven't really announced it, so that's why I'm a little like stumbling over my words. But it's called At the End of the Day, It's Me, Overcoming Addiction to Toxic Relationships. Um, it's basically my story, but from a standpoint of a self help book and also kind of like a healing journey book. Um, I'm real big on bringing your story to life because when we hold it in, we feel as if we're the only one that's going through things and we judge ourselves. And then now you've created that wound. Now that wound is still just festering inside of you. So it causes you to become triggered by anything that surrounds what's going on within that wound. So you might be triggered by seeing somebody in the, for example, with my wound being toxic relationships. If I let it fester inside of me, anything about relationships can trigger my wound and it can cause me to go into depression or go into feeling anxiety or feeling like I don't belong and everything that everyone else going through, that I'm not enough, spell I'm not worthy enough, and you just constantly judge yourself. But when you're able to expose that wound, it kind of takes away the power. And then you're again now gaining the lessons from it. And so I don't want to come off to people like, oh, I'm a life coach. My life is perfect. And or like, I don't make any mistakes or nothing bad ever happens to me. Like, no, I'm still going through life too. I just have like life coach too. A lot of people think that life coaches are somebody that say, "Oh, I've been through life, so let me tell you how to live your life." That's the number one biggest common misconception about what a life coach does. We are not somebody to tell you how to live your life. And if you have a life coach that's telling you how to live their life based off of their life, one, that's a mentor. And two, fire them because you have granted somebody outside of yourself the executive seat in your life as if you aren't good enough to run and lead your own. So you are good enough. And what real coaches do is they help you see that. They help you see that you are everything that has been stripped away from you and have been told to you about you not being good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this enough. You are enough. And I'm just going to help you see that by empowering you to dig into your mind and pull out your own responses, your own answers based off of your life. So I help you see your potential and help you pull that out of you. So it's completely different from me telling you what to do. I'm still living my own damn life, learning my own lessons, trying to figure things out for myself. And it's actually very empowering when you can make your own choices for yourself. And it's empowering when you trust yourself. That's what develops trust. See, a lot of us throughout life, we've lost a sense of trust within ourselves because we're looking for validation externally. I'm all about internal everything. So when you look for validation externally, what you're really doing is detaching and building a rift between the relationship with you and yourself, your intuition, your inner guidance. That's what you're doing because now you can't even come to yourself to validate how you're feeling and what you need to do. So as a life coach, I help you come back to yourself. And so my experiences allow me to come back to myself. And I think because of how I use those same tools with my life, I can pull out the lessons in my situation. So somebody who is also addicted to toxic relationships or someone who are trying to get out of that cycle, because a lot of things that we replay within our lives are cycles and patterns that was already there before us because of our bloodline that we were born into. And a lot of people don't know that, and they come and they beat themselves up not realizing that, before you were even conceived, the potential of your life being how it's going to be played out was already there for you. Now it's up to you to come out and break that energy that has been so dominant in your family. And a lot of us don't even realize that. There is something that I've been really studying. It's in my book. It's called morphogenetic fields. Have you heard of that?
No, I have not.
Okay. So, and I know I talk a lot too, but so morphogenetic fields is just the theory that, and it's actually been proven, so I don't even think I should call it a theory, but that energy and our patterns are stored outside of our physical bodies. And so when we incarnate or when we come into our physical bodies, this energy is basically pulling us towards a way of behavior. So when you have like what the genetic field is like, okay, you were born like a rabbit. Okay, you're born a rabbit. Why did the rabbit act like a rabbit? Because the morphogenetic field of rabbitness is high. And he's not gonna wake up and think he's a squirrel or a monkey the next day. That's because that's not in his field. So it works like that for humans and our biology and our mind and our physicality, like everything is stored outside of us in the ether. And so when we're born into these fields and then we're trying to break away, it's that's why it's hard to break genetic curses, and it's hard to create new habits away from your family. And when you do, you get the most backlash because that energetic field that's opposed to the new habit that you realize is a lot stronger than you and your one habit that's trying to pull the other way. So that's why it's really important when you are trying to change habits and break curses that you're constantly feeding your mind information. You're constantly your environment is on the same path as everything that you're trying to do. Everyone that you speak to and talk to that's in your circle is in alignment with what you're trying to do. Everything that you incorporate yourself with is in alignment with what you do, because everything else is pulling the opposite direction of us if we're trying to break free of certain patterns. So it's basically saying that there's patterns stored outside of us. So my book, it goes into a lot of that when it comes to relationships, when it comes to dating, and I'm talking about relationships with friends, family members, but specifically it starts off with intimate relationship with partners. And that's a part of my story. I feel as though like my family bloodline, we have a history of dating toxic people. And so I am aware of it, right? But awareness is nothing. Awareness is like step number, it's like pre-prep, right? We ain't even start the real steps yet of cooking the meal up. So it's because the real steps is the action, and that's what really trips up a lot of people, and that's what stops you. Because a lot of times we know not to do something. We know, okay, if we smoke a cigarette, it's gonna be bad for us, but yet why do we still do it? So the awareness is not even the game changer. The game changer is the action that you put in behind it, because that's what build the patterns, and that's what pull against the morphogenetic field if it's negative in your family. So what I'm trying to do and create is create a pattern that will show positive relationships, that will show healthy relationships, non-toxic relationships, because the predominant energy surrounding my family and myself that I'm trying to break free of is toxic relationships. So that's basically the gist of my book. And had I not been pregnant with my son, this book wouldn't have been birthed, and this book wouldn't have been sparked within me. And the knowledge that I've gained through my experience with my whole pregnancy has really sparked this book in me. So I'm so grateful that I leaned into my situation and I allowed it, even though it didn't seem like the best situation at the time. And I was definitely down and out like any normal person would be. But then I accepted my reality for what it was. And then all of a sudden, everything just started unfolding for me, which is why I say we suffer because we don't allow what's happening to teach us, to lean into it, and to make us better.
So I want to say a couple of things. First of all, people in the chat room say I cannot wait for the book. When the book is released, I plan on getting a signed copy of that book. I should be able to get one of those without an issue.
Absolutely.
Just wanted to say that. Secondly, you said something a few minutes ago that kind of like really, I mean, it really resonated when you were saying the difference between a mentor and a coach, right? So
Mm-hmm.
a coach help you saying you help people live their best life, like not
Mm-hmm.
like
I
you,
help pull it out of them.
not like you, not your life, right? You help pull out
Mm-hmm.
what's better for them, what's best for them, and and
Mm-hmm.
again, I mean that's a huge difference between a mentor and a coach. Tanisha says pregnant with a purpose.
Yes.
Uh, we,
Yep.
we are. I mean,
Her book.
I was giving you some ups in the chat room. I said you dropping dimes tonight. Everybody's like, yeah, she is. You really passionate, and with your calling, and it really sticks out. Like it really, you know, you just feel it. It's infectious. Honestly, I mean, the chat room loved it. I loved it.
Thank you.
I plan on listening back to this conversation, and this is Tanisha says you are pregnant with a purpose, CC.
I know. I didn't believe it at first, but yeah, absolutely.
And she's pregnant. I mean, I don't, like I said earlier when we were about to go live, we had to we had,
I had to catch my
we had
breath.
to we had to wait a little bit. So before we finish up tonight, we're at the 47-minute mark. I want to ask you, Celicia, if you have any last words or advice or any words of encouragement you want to give to the chat room before we get out of here tonight.
Hmm. Create a mantra for yourself that is going to allow you to develop a positive relationship with the obstacles that you face in your life. Because obstacles are inevitable, but misery is optional. So, like how I said in the beginning, my mantra is everything always works out for me. So, even when I feel like this is the worst place that I've ever been in my life, I go back to my mantra, but everything is going to always work out for me. So, it should shift you out of that place of suffering. So, my advice or my piece, my takeaway piece is create something that you can tell yourself that's going to help you develop a positive relationship with obstacles that you're going to face. It's inevitable in your life.
I was asked to ask you about Abraham Hicks.
I love Abraham. I love Abraham Hicks. Um, Abraham Hicks, Till Swan, uh, Moji, and actually my uncle in Jamaica. He's a like my spiritual mentor. I could say that because he teaches a lot. My uncle was a rapper in Jamaica, a Jamaican like DJ. He traveled back in his days, and then he dipped off, and we were like, "What happened to him?" He was gone for a year. He lived in a cave. He came back like this enlightened Buddha, and he guides me through a lot. And he's all about nature, so he challenges me and he stretches me. But I listen to a lot of Abraham Hicks. I listen to a lot of Teal Swan. If you guys are looking for inner healing, childhood healing, trying to identify why you are the way that you are today, she would link that to your childhood. And tell you like, well, you probably grew up in a house like this, and da, 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 da. You're sitting there like, yes, I was that kid, and it just helps bring in a lot of childhood healing. And then Abraham Hicks, she teaches you about like what I mentioned about whenever an obstacle hits you in life, it's teaching you about what you actually want. And so you focus your energy on what you want. So, for example, and we can get a little bit personal. So, like one of the obstacles that I faced or the challenges that I faced that kind of broke me was I wanted a partner that was going to show up at every single doctor's appointment with me during my pregnancy. I'm not blessed with that. So, one option was cry about it every single time the person don't show up. Be upset about it every single time they don't show up. My other option was, hey, wow, I really would appreciate and love to have a partner that will show up and take these appointments seriously. So it's teaching me that that's what I actually would like. So I shift my thoughts now to focusing on what that would feel like, what that would look like. And so now my energy is basically you're constantly telling the universe what you want, what you don't want, but we don't realize that how we communicate that is based off of how we feel and the emotions that we put out there. And so if we're sitting there feeling bad and we're putting out negative emotions, the universe is just going to continue to match that, because we're just giving it the list of what we want. Everything is there for you. This is an abundant world, and we need to get out of the mindset that things are limited. Because when you think about all of the galaxies and everything that is outside of you, and then there's you, why do you think your potential is limited? You have an abundance of opportunities, money, everything that's out there for you. And so when you can switch your mindset to actually telling the universe what you want instead of telling the universe what you don't want, or whoever you believe in what you don't want, then now you're getting more clear and you're going to start receiving exactly what you want. And so I use my experiences to teach me about what I want, and I learned a lot of that from Abraham Hicks.
Well, I'm glad I asked you that question. I was in the chat room. My mom says, "Thank you, Celicia. God bless your endeavors, your journey, and your destiny."
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Stacy says, "This has been amazing. So much wisdom." I mean, yeah. Again, I do thank you for taking time out of your busy life to come have a conversation with me.
Thank you for having me. Like, I'm all for supporting causes that is in alignment with what I stand for. And like I said, this is definitely in alignment and a part of my calling and my purpose. So I actually feel honored for you to come to me and ask me to, show up on your podcast that you put so much time and effort in. Like, I was telling Alec before, you guys, now I'm talking to everybody else, that his punctuality, his organization, and everything that he does behind the scenes for his podcast is so remarkable to me. And it just shows that this is his baby and his passion. And so, kudos to Alex for even putting this together, because people do shy away from this stuff, right? Because we live in a world filled with coping mechanisms. And right now we got to deal. So dealing is the painful part. Like I said, it's the part where action comes into play. And so, Alex, I am so grateful that you had me on the show today.
I definitely appreciate your your kind words, gassing me up a little bit there.
That's fine.
Stacey says, "I so love this, Celicia. Your child will be so blessed."
Oh, thank you.
So, guys, we're gonna go ahead and close tonight. I will be back next Thursday, obviously, but again, Celicia, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight live. If you are listening back, thank you for being subscribed to the podcast, and I look forward to talking to you guys again in the future.
Yes.